Hey there, Central Ohio. I'm 10 Weather Impact Meteorologist Michael Behrens. Thanks for joining me on this beautiful Thursday afternoon for your almost end of the week edition of the 10 Weather Impact Show. Our forecast has been pretty nice the past several days. That is, unless you need the rain. The farmers out there really getting concerned about the dry weather pattern we're heading into, and our drought, well, starting to grow and not looking to be aided by rain anytime soon. So let's go ahead and dive into that forecast and show you what we're looking at as we head here through the next couple of days. More sunshine out there for today. Temperatures will be on the rise. That'll continue all the way through Sunday, and rain, unfortunately, not looking very likely. In fact, we've only got about a 20% chance for rain anytime in the next 7 days, and that rain chance has been trending downward as the newest data came in earlier this afternoon. So not looking good for chances for rain over the next 7 days. If you've got to get outside, if you've got to get work done, if you've got an activity or a party or something planned, this weather's just about perfect, especially for the past couple of days, and that continues this afternoon. Clear blue skies, temperatures a smidge warmer than this time yesterday. We were in the upper 70s about this time on Wednesday, now into the low 80s across central Ohio. And these temperatures will continue to warm as we head through the rest of the afternoon. Warmest spot out there, Bell Fountain sitting at 83 degrees, MacArthur at 82, Chillicothe, Piketon 81, Zanesville at 80. These temperatures, again, going to creep up a couple more degrees between now and the end of the afternoon. Not excessively hot, but certainly going to be a summer feeling day as opposed to some of the fall-like days that we've been seeing for the past couple of weeks. The next 12 hours, again, temperatures creep up a couple more degrees this afternoon. We'll kind of end in the low to mid 80s with plenty of sunshine this afternoon. Clear skies continue as we head into tonight. Temperatures overnight still getting cool, but we're not going to get quite as chilly as we did to begin the week. We had some of those mornings out there earlier this week down in the 40s, only expected to fall into the 50s as we head through tonight. If you are outside, allergy index out there, we're still seeing moderate activity from the ragweed, but the grasses and the mold remain in the low category, and the trees not in season this time of year. Overall, wouldn't expect to see much change over the next couple of days to the allergy forecast, just because we're not going to get any kind of changing weather patterns or any real moisture heading again here into central Ohio. If you are outside, keep in mind you need the sunscreen. UV index a little bit lower today, but still in the high category. It's down to a level 6 for this afternoon. So again, make sure you bring the sunscreen and cover up any exposed skin while you're outside. Sunglasses, of course, definitely going to be good as we head toward this evening, especially for that commute home. That sun angle really starts to make things kind of blinding this time of the year. As far as precipitation chances go, we told you there's just not much to find here. We're talking goose eggs across most of the next 7 days. Those chances only get as high as about 20% early Sunday. And again, this is starting to trend downward. So not the pattern we want to see when our drought conditions are starting to get worse here in central Ohio. Speaking of which, this was last week. We started to have moderate drought creep into eastern portions of the 10 TV viewing area. Our southern counties creeping in with that moderate drought. That has gotten worse as we've headed into this week. You can now see moderate drought stretching from Kenton down into Columbus as well, expanding across those southern and those eastern counties as well. In fact, you get just beyond Guernsey County out there into far eastern Ohio near the West Virginia border. That even ticks up to a severe drought. So we're expecting this pattern not only to stay in place, but likely worsen as we head through the next 7 days. So not good news again for that drought condition across the region. And this is the reason why there's nothing on the radar here in central Ohio. Even the big picture, hardly a cloud across the state this afternoon. Can't get any moisture out of a stone when there's just nothing there to get things out of this afternoon, and that's what we're looking at. You see here hour by hour, we track the next couple. A few clouds pop up late this afternoon, but other than that, nothing here as we work our way through the rest of Thursday. In fact, I'm going to skip all the way to Saturday about midday, because that's the next time we have really even anything to track here into central Ohio. Heading into Saturday afternoon, cloud cover starts to increase. You'll notice that if you're out tailgating for the Buckeyes game, but here's the good news. We're not expecting rain for the game, and well, now really the chances for rain even after the game again going down. Cloud cover increases as we head toward midnight Saturday. Rain chances not a lot. Remember yesterday when we showed you this model? by the early part of Sunday, most of Ohio was having green covering it here on our long-range outlook. That is now almost completely gone away, and those rain chances very sparse as we head through early Sunday. And then as we get into the early part of next week, nothing else comes behind it. We are looking at a continuation of that unfortunately dry weather pattern. Looking a little bit beyond the next 7 days, well, it's going to be feeling a lot more like summer. The 8 to 14 day outlook above normal temperatures settling in here across the Midwest with near normal chances for rain, but this isn't a particularly rainy part of the year, so that's still not a lot of moisture. Hopefully we can start to change that pattern here, if not next week, but the week after that. 10 Weather Impact 7-day forecast. Temperatures on the rise as we head toward the weekend. Couple activities out there many of you guys are looking forward to. First, we'll start with 1st and 10. Friday night high school football. It's going to be feeling more like summer really than any of the weeks we've seen so far this year. The closest one to this would have been week 1. Temperatures out there in the low 80s at kickoff. Will drop down through the 70s as we head throughout the game. Saturday, where it's getting pretty toasty, up to 86. If you're out there tailgating, of course, we have a night game coming up this week. No major problems out there, but it will be warm. 86 out there before the game. Those temperatures get to about 80 by kickoff, and then we'll sort of drop to the 70s for the rest of the evening. Beyond the weekend, temperatures take a little break. We get close to 90 on Sunday, climbing back up to 87. That falls to 85 Monday, but really not much changes. Remember that long outlook. We were expecting above normal temperatures, and that's where we'll land. We should be in the low 80s this time of the year. We'll be in the mid to upper 80s as we head through next week. Again, really with no sign of rain in the forecast, so wouldn't expect to see much cooling come from this pattern either. Likely going to see those temperatures continue to stay above normal, and again, that drought condition unfortunately going to get worse. And speaking of which, continuing now with our weather coverage, those drought conditions forming over Ohio can certainly have an impact across the region, including on our local waterways. For those lawns and of course the farmers with the crops. It's also having an impact on river levels. This video showing the Maumee River in Toledo. The Department of Natural Resources says plants and animals, including fish, could become impacted as oxygen levels decrease and water temperatures rise.
I think the cold temperatures that we've had the last couple of weeks have definitely helped. You know, the drought also affects animals on the land. You know, when it comes to just things like flowers, they may not have as large of flowers.
And concern for those water resources is not just found here in Ohio. Access to drinking water, often another concern across the U.S. It's actually estimated that more than 2 million Americans don't have reliable drinking water in their homes. Some of those are in the most vulnerable places in rural America with few resources to fix it. CBS's Tom Hansen travels just to our south in West Virginia, where one nonprofit is digging up new waterways.
Yeah, I've walked this line many a time.
For as long as Roman Patsy remembers, the Appalachian Mountains have provided virtually everything his community needed to survive, from the coal mining industry to tap water.
It's coming right out of the mountain up here.
Is there any part of you that wonders if that water is safe?
I mean, I don't know if it's safe or not, to tell you the truth. But you know what you're going to do? You got to drink water.
He took us to his only source of drinking water for nearly 50 years, an abandoned coal mine near his home. Like so many here, he dug his own trenches and laid his own water lines hundreds of feet up this mountainside.
Was there any part of you that thought to yourself, it shouldn't be this hard to get access to water?
No, I just accepted it. It was something you had to do, you know. I worried about running out of water really for years.
Did you guys regularly test the water for any contaminants, or did you? No.
250,000 people in West Virginia rely on untreated sources of water, like natural springs or aquifers from coal mines. The median income in this area is about $30,000 a year, a far cry from the prosperity that the coal industry once created. Coal companies used to fund and operate many town water systems, but when the industry declined, so did the water infrastructure it used to maintain. We wanted to see this firsthand, so we went to a water treatment plant in Kimball, a town of more than 300 people.
You can see that the windows are boarded up, the roof is completely missing, there's rusty metal, and yet this is the facility that's supposed to clean tap water for an entire community. It is truly mind-blowing.
In nearby Rodell, the water treatment plant was also crumbling.
Does a typical water treatment plant have this level of corrosion?
No, it's in pretty bad shape, as you can see. The fear is what you can't see underground and what's in the mines. We have no way to access the pumps in the mine, so when they go, then the town would lose water.
The county is racing to replace water systems before that happens, with help from the nonprofit Dig Deep, which works to bring clean tap water to more than 2.2 million Americans living without. Travis Foreman is the director of Dig Deep's Appalachia Water Project.
We're dealing with a lot of systems that are very expensive to maintain, and the local public service districts, they don't have the manpower to keep up.
In Rodell, they're bringing clean water to the community for the first time in 10 years.
It is a human right to have access to water. Everyone deserves to have that access.
Not long ago, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I turned this on like this, not a drop. No water. It's such a peace about knowing I'm gonna have water here.
A source of hope straight from the tap. Tom Hansen, CBS News, West Virginia.
And now to some environment news. The Trump administration has dissolved a working group that issued a controversial report showing doubt on the severity of climate change. Climate scientists are declaring a victory for this dissolution. The report the group of 5 well-known climate contrarians issued even portrayed climate change as potentially beneficial. The group's end can be traced to a lawsuit by the Environmental Defense Fund and Union of Concerned Scientists. It's alleged the group's formation violated a Federal Advisory Committee Act. It claimed the group's formation was not disclosed until months after it started working, and members were selected deliberately to represent a one-sided argument. Despite the group dissolution, the Energy Department is not withdrawing its report. And another issue impacting our environment, many are trying to change the amount of waste we produce across the country. And cities are looking for smarter ways to tackle things like food waste to help save the planet. In New York City, millions of pounds of food scraps are being turned into so-called black gold. This is a Staten Island facility that takes in more than 100 tons of organic material a day, from watermelon rinds to yard trimmings, as part of a citywide push to rethink where waste goes. Instead of sending scraps to landfills where they release methane, a potent greenhouse gas, the waste is transformed into a dark, nutrient-rich compost.
It's a circular economy story. We're making this awesome compost that we can use throughout the city. It improves soil health. It helps with stormwater management. It makes our green spaces lush and healthy.
City leaders say they've sold millions of pounds of the black gold to landscapers and donated the rest to residents, schools, and community gardens. And finally today, we turn our focus towards southern Indiana, where a local group of volunteers is turning plastic bags into sleep mats for the homeless. Joyce O'Geary reports.
Trinity United Methodist Church in New Albany launched a new ministry after a mission trip taught volunteers how to repurpose plastic into something life-changing.
To be able to offer something that brings some comfort and protection from the elements.
Inside Trinity's Mission Depot, stacks of grocery bags are cut, stretched, and woven into something you might not expect. Every Tuesday morning, volunteers gather to transform thousands of plastic grocery bags into sleeping mats for people facing homelessness and recovering from natural disasters.
We felt like it was a simple thing to do, you know, and it could make a difference.
Each mat requires about 1,000 bags and up to 20 hours of work.
From the beginning of the process, which is when we get the bags, to when we take it off the loom and add the strap to it.
So far, the group has completed more than 50 mats.
We've produced a product that'll help keep them dry. Our mats are woven tight enough that they're waterproof.
The finished mats are then rolled up, tied up with handles, and donated. Some stay local and others are shipped around the world.
It's magical to see their faces, to see them carrying them out of the facilities with the mats on their back, and I hope they appreciate them. I know they do.
The Mission Depot stands as a reminder that compassion can be woven one bag at a time.
Until every person can have a safe place to sleep, I feel a responsibility to do what I can to change that.
In New Albany, Joyce O'Geary, WLKY News.
And in our final story today, long before astronomer Galileo Galilei first gazed at Mars through a telescope, our neighboring red planet has captured our imagination, and humans have long wondered whether or not there was life, or is life, on the fourth rock from the sun. As Mark Strassman reports, a rock star named Perseverance may have just dug up the answer.
This is a selfie of Perseverance, the rover that found this rock, potentially the most meaningful rock on Mars NASA has ever studied. Sean Duffy is NASA's acting administrator.
This very well could be the clearest sign of life that we've ever found on Mars, which is incredibly exciting.
These spots on the rock make NASA giddy, a potential biosignature of Martian microbes in an ancient riverbed more than 3 billion years old.
What made it stand out?
It just didn't look like the rocks around it.
Dr. Nikki Fox is NASA's head of science.
This is by far the most interesting observation that we have made as we continue to look for life elsewhere in the solar system.
It's a rock for the ages and for the big question, are we alone? Mark Strassman, CBS News, Atlanta.
And finally today, let's check out some new video into us here at 10 TV. First up, speaking with our Out of This World theme, a never-before-seen video was released Tuesday this week at a House Government Oversight Subcommittee hearing into unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP, used to be called UFOs, which the military is, well, the military's term for UFOs. During the hearing, Rep. Eric Burleson of Missouri played a video that he said he'd been given and claimed it was taken by a MQ-9 Reaper drone. In that video, you could see it just there, where it was from October 30th of last year, describes an orb flying off the coast of Yemen and eventually being struck by a missile, but the orb continued to fly after being hit. Kind of makes you wonder what's going on out there in the skies. No report on what exactly that orb was. And in some less spooky news here, the Nashville Fair is underway. Our fair season's done, but the Nashville Fair is still going on. That event features an artist who paints portraits of animals, but each portrait only takes an hour. The artist, Julia Tong, says that she tries to catch the most authentic side of each animal and says her goal at the fair is to foster a love of art in anyone who might pass by. Kind of cool. You can get that painting done in just an hour. I think I'd definitely like to have, well, if I was showing an animal or have a pet with me at the fair, I'd get that done. Pretty good art there for time of the year at the fair, and some good positive news to end with here on this Thursday, instead of the slightly creepier news of the life in space, which, you don't know. They might be up there. Well, before we get too far off track, that's the end of your 10 Weather Impact show for us here today. And of course, later tonight, Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz, he'll be back with more on our quiet forecast and, of course, what we could expect heading into the weekend and if those rain chances Saturday into Sunday will change any. Of course, until then, you can catch more news and weather online at 10tv.com. Have a great afternoon.